Guys, Dr. Marra here. It is May 21st, 2013, and I was guided to do a video on clarity. And this is going to be maybe a little difficult for me to articulate because it's such a big subject. And I'm just going to dive into this and we'll see where this goes. But many of us want to know what is going on, and there's so much confusion because of the information that's streaming, through the internet in our daily lives from various people. And we have to remember to go back to simplicity and remember that each individual person, their truth is individualized to themselves. And what I mean by that is through their own spiritual growth, through their upbringing, through their understanding of the world around them, their paradigm. This is all influenced from the ego, which had been influenced through the media, their upbringing, socioeconomics, all kinds of things. And so their experience may be different than the person standing right next to them, and therefore their awareness is different. So the ego mind, like mine especially, I want to know like the facts, or I want to know the truth of the matter. And what I have to remember sometimes is that everybody's truth is different. And so the old expression, birds of a feather flock together. Well, energetically that's true also, because the information that you need at a particular time will come to you when you're asking for it, if it's in your greatest good. And what I mean by that is sometimes we're asking for particular awarenesses or consciousness, and it doesn't come to us and we get frustrated. And sometimes it's not in our greatest good. We have to go back again and remember that we decided to be here at this particular time of now, and we had a plan set out for ourselves. And until we accomplish various things along our path, and again, another variable here is free will, we choose whether we experience life in a particular way. And again, we live in this dualistic world. I always say hot, cold, good, bad, up, down. But we do have free will to choose. And we allowed ourselves to come here with a limited consciousness for the purpose of soul growth. And we have to remember the reason why things are so cloudy out there is that we're multi-dimensional beings. And therefore we have multi-understandings within each dimension. So when you're asking a particular question, sometimes you'll get all kinds of answers, and it depends on where your particular awareness is, whether you're going to get it or not. And it's just amazing to try to discern what we tell different people, because quite frankly, we are all transmitters and receivers. Obviously, we transmit through either our vocal cords, whether it be eye contact, whether it be body language, telepathy, some of us, most of us, whether we know it or not. And we receive through the visual, our five senses basically, and then we have a sixth sense, whether it be from our pineal gland and whether we go within. So it's important to discuss all aspects to make it more clear why things are confusing. And as I said at the beginning of this, this is going to be hard to articulate because there's so much. It's such a big story. But we have to remember that we've come here with a plan, and on a multi-dimensional level, so to speak, on one level, we're here for personal growth. On another level, we're here for a collective growth. On another level, it's a planetary growth. And then there's universal. So there's so many levels to, and we're so complex that it's hard to answer a question with a simple one sentence. So I was guided to do this just because of my own life and my own reflections recently on what has been going on in the world. And, you almost have to pick a topic to discuss it. I mean, it's such a big story. And we're getting these solar flares that are coming in. And they're natural, they're normal. But in this time, they appear to be more intense. And then you see the tornadoes that are going across the country and things like this. On one level of understanding, maybe in a 3D way, it's affecting physicality. And you're seeing it with our five senses. But what we don't realize sometimes is there's a higher purpose also, another multi-level, that as these energies come in, it's helping us raise our vibration, not just human beings, but the plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, the planet itself, the universe, and everybody and everything in this galaxy, at least, and probably the universe, uh, is raising in a vibration. And it's difficult to articulate this sometimes because we use words, and words are limiting. So I'm trying to do my best here to articulate this in an understandable manner for everybody collectively. So bear with me if I'm going off track here, but like I said, it's a big story, and it's exciting to see the changes that are all around us, and sometimes we forget to trust ourselves. And this is our biggest challenge, I would think, and for many of us, because we forget that life doesn't happen to us, it happens from us. So what we perceive our surroundings, including ourselves, if we don't like a certain part of ourselves or somebody that is our friend or a relationship, sometimes it's a mirror image, and sometimes it's just how you look at it. So if you change your perspective and look at it from a higher perspective of love and unconditional love, it totally changes that vibration. And a lot of people are having things happen to them over and over and over again. And we're in this major cleansing transition right now. And sometimes the hardest path is the one that gives us the most growth. But we're resistant. And I go through this myself. I'll be resistant, resistant, resistant. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I'm trying to avoid it. And all of a sudden, there'll be a big blow up because energetically, you're building up, building up, building up until you face what that is. And me personally, over the past few years, I've finally come to a realization when something is like I'm up against the roadblock, I stand back instead of trying to bulldoze through it and say, okay, what's this lesson about? Because if I keep attracting the same friend or the same issue financially, what is the lesson? I want to learn it now so I don't have to repeat this again. So, this is all part of the clarity that I wanted to talk about. And you can't get clear when you're just in the ego mind. You have to tap into your inner self and trust yourself unconditionally. Know that you're on the right path. You have choices to make, so it's not like you're a puppet on a string. But when there's a resistance or a pushback, instead of trying to plow through it or force your will upon it or somebody else or the situation, pull back. Sometimes it's better to pull back and say, okay, what's really going on here? Because again, anytime there's confusion, it's a battle between spirit and ego. And this is another aspect of humanity. I mean, there's the spiritual, emotional, energetic. I mean, there's so many aspects of us. So again, to get clarity, you almost have to have an understanding of each aspect and can believe in it. Because some people are just like, oh, we're just physical beings and we live here and we die and that's it. Well, you're not going to get the clarity that you seek if you're closed-minded and not open to hear other people's viewpoints. And it's interesting to listen to certain answers to questions about the ascension process. And you can almost tell where the particular person is in their soul growth. And there's no judgment, whether they're higher or lower. And like, I remember in the past, I would think, and of course it's a judgment. I'm like, wow, that person's crazy. I'm awake, but I don't believe that. And then later down the road, all of a sudden I got to that awareness and it clicked like, oh my gosh, that person was saying that a year ago. They were right. I was the one that was wrong. But my ego didn't want to be wrong. So this is the struggle that we all go through in our mastery of being here at this particular time of now. And so the best thing that each individual person can do is work on themselves first. And as you work on yourself, you reflect and you raise in your vibratory frequency, and things around you, you attract energetically what you're feeling in the moment. So as soon as you start to feel like, oh, I have this sense of lack, I can't create money, or this bill is due, and it just brings you down, 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 and you attract more of that to yourself. And we're coming into an area, and we've been actually, it just gets more and more and more intense. And you're going to see it intensify. So if you can't get into the heart, you're going to see yourself attracting things more instantaneously. Like you'll have a thought, and because we're raising in vibration, your thoughts are becoming more powerful, and they're going to be attracted to you quicker and more magnified. So I'm going through this myself, and so that's why I'm speaking about it. And I had to really take some time and just reflect, which my mind is busy. And, over the last few years, that has calmed down a little bit. But I'm a physical person. I want to be out in nature. I want to be physically doing something, building something, or, my ego mind gets bored. So and I hate to use the word stuck, but I'm just going to use it for the purpose of communication. Like if I'm stuck at home, and I'm like, what am I going to do with myself today? A lot of times if you take that moment and you go meditate and you allow yourself just to get into a quiet place, close your eyes, just because it limits the stimulus that your brain will be distracted. It kind of helps with the stimulus to the brain, or limiting that. And if you have to, put earplugs in so you're not hearing the neighbor mowing the grass or whatever it is. And so when you can limit that, get into a quiet place, and again, it takes practice. If you're just starting on your path as far as meditation, it's so important to do that in order to get the clarity that you as an individual need for your truth. And you can be arguing all day long with somebody else about what they're saying. They're either further down the path than you, or they're behind you if there's a conflict. And nobody's right or wrong. It's just where we are in the moment of now. So remember to try not to be judgmental. Send these people unconditional love, these events, these issues. Send yourself unconditional love. And, the clarity will come to you and when it's ready. And again, we're multidimensional beings. We're shifting. This is another thing. This is another variable. There's so many variables to try to communicate clarity. We're shifting from 3, 4, 5. And in the moment when you're recognizing your observation, you can almost stop and say, oh, I'm in a 5th dimension because I'm thinking of things here. This person can't get it, or this group can't get this because they are thinking in a lower vibratory frequency or dimension of consciousness. You can't judge them. Sometimes it can get frustrated, but you can say what you have to say, be discernible about how far to go, because sometimes you'll turn people off and they won't get anything that you say. But energetically,